Welcome to Women's Rugby Rundown 172 for September 16th through the 22nd. Wales made history with their first ever win over the Wallaroos, moving up to 9th in the rankings, while referee Sara Cox officiated her 40th test match. Romania made a triumphant return to 15s, leaping from 44th to 40th after defeating Bulgaria, while South Africa dominated Spain. The Netherlands edged past Fiji, and the Kenya Lionesses secured a big victory over Madagascar. China leads the Asia Sevens Series with Japan close behind, but the real battle is for the third place between Hong Kong and Thailand, with major implications for a spot in the HSBC Sevens Challenger Series. 2 more Challenger Series spots will be up for grabs at the South American Sevens at the end of October. We round up all the global premier and club competitions worldwide. Get ready for a journey through the latest in women's rugby. This is your Women's Rugby Rundown, and we're about to kick off. Let's start with some Sevens news. China's won both stops of the Asia Sevens Series this year. Japan is in second. They're both already on the circuit for sevens. So the real fight here is between Hong Kong and Thailand, and it's going to come down to the third stop in Thailand on November 19th through the 20th to see who gets through for that challenger spot. Emirates will now be the title sponsor of all Asia rugby competitions across sevens and 15s. The South American Sevens will be held in Lima this year on October 26th to the 27th, featuring 8 men's and 8 women's teams. There'll be 2 spots, one for each gender, at the 2025 World Rugby Challenger Series. Some of the teams for the women will be Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Paraguay, Colombia, Peru, Uruguay, and Venezuela, with Venezuela being the newest team that did not participate last year. Now let's look at some 15s news. Wales earned their first ever win over Australia, 31-24. They move up to 9th in the rankings as they leapfrog Italy. Referee Sara Cox officiated her 40th test match as she took on Wales versus Australia. She joins Aimee Barrett-Theron as the only woman referees to reach this milestone. In a very close match, Fiji fell to the Netherlands 12-10, causing them to slip down to 15th in the World Rugby rankings. Romania made a triumphant return to Test rugby after a number of decades, defeating Bulgaria 66-12. They leaped from 44th to 40th in the World Rugby rankings. With Bulgaria and Romania returning, we also learned that Denmark and Norway are reviving their test squads after 2 decades, and there are now at least 16 European nations with active 15s programs outside of the 6 nations, bringing the total to 22, more than ever before. South Africa was able to get past Spain, beating them 36-19, and Libby Jansa Rengsburg became the first Springbok women's player to score over 200 points. The Kenya Lionesses secured a dominant 63-19 victory over Madagascar, and several of us on social media are a bit fearful for that squad, and what a wake-up it will be to compete in WXV 3 for Madagascar. We've now covered all the results from the weekend, and we're looking ahead. WXV kicking off this weekend with 9 matches across all of the tiers. This week we're going to have a special guest, the Rugby Voice, covering some of our club and premier news.
The Counties Monaco Heat versus Cadbury Women and Waikato versus Auckland Storm will both be played on Saturday the 28th of September. Now it's time to talk about the Arnold Clark Premiership. Westonian Women's versus Heriots Rugby will be played on Friday the 27th of September and will also be live on BBC Alba. Now it's time for the Premiership Women's Rugby Up Series. Saracens, Leicester Tigers and Bristol Bears were all victorious over their opponents in the final round of the PWR Up Series. The official season of the PWR will take place from the 5th of October. Now for the Welsh Premiership. Llandaff North, Califan and Seven Sisters won their second round of games. Now finally an update on the BC Prem. Now the BC Prem is about to get underway from Saturday the 28th of September.
Thanks for that, Chloe at the Rugby Voice. The Queen's Cup kicked off last weekend. This is a competition that started in 2023 between Spain's top tier and second tier teams so that they'll play some crossovers. The opening weekend saw Ibar and Krat take the wins. ABC Sports and Scrum Queens highlight the growing numbers of South American players from Paraguay, Uruguay, and Argentina now playing 15s in Spain because their country is a little slow on the uptick. A fan sent us a competition from Belgium that we'd like to add to our fixtures and results. This one has 9 teams. They've completed 2 rounds of play, with Hent Rugby leading with 10 points and an undefeated record. In the United States, the 9th annual Mary Graham All-Stars will take place in Dallas-Fort Worth on December 7th and 8th. This is a gathering of the top union teams in the country. That's all the women's rugby news we've got for you this week. Of course, there's always more news on our site at yscrugby.com. A special thank you to Chloe from the Rugby Voice for your updates this week. Never miss an episode of Women's Rugby Rundown by subscribing to us on Spotify, YouTube, or Patreon, or any social media platform.